Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible. Welcome to this special episode of Quilting on the Side, live from the show floor of QuiltCon 2025 in Phoenix, Arizona. Tori, thoughts about QuiltCon 2025?
Oh my gosh, so we found a little spot here, but it's been packed with quilters. I've been here for 2 days. I was only here for Thursday and Friday. And Andi, you're going to be here all 4 days, right?
Yes, I bought the 4-day pass because it's local. I can sleep in my own bed, and I was able to take a little bit of time off work, so I've been able to enjoy the show every day, which is definitely a different experience. I mean, we've all done the thing where we go to the amusement park and we cram it all into one day, so it definitely can be done, but it's much more relaxing to be able to go home, see a little bit when you hit that, maximum overload, because there is so much visual stimulation.
Yes.
From the wonderful quilts to all the vendors to the people that have amazing quilted apparel. It's just been so fun to people watch. So
yeah, we've had a plan of looking at sections of the quilt show and then taking a break and going to the vendors and then eating, resting maybe if we need to, and then going back to the quilts, back to the vendors, and then resting again. And it's been working pretty well. It's been keeping pace and actually remembering the quilts this time rather than just trying to go through all the quilts at once. So that's kind of been our game plan, and it's been working really well. So I've been here with my twin. I've been pushing her around in a wheelchair. And
so you've been pushing Tisha around because that's exciting. You have a new baby in the family.
Yes, about to be.
In June.
Wheelchair has been parting the crowd a bit, which has been helpful.
But I have to say, QuiltCon, especially at the Phoenix Convention Center, they've given us really nice wide aisles. So there is space. You don't feel like everything's crammed and you're constantly bumping into people. There is room to move around.
And I love the space too, because not only with the quilt part of the quilt show, because not only can you get up close to the quilts, you can step back and really see the quilts from far away as well. So it gives you a perspective of up close, far away, and it's great for pictures. It's great for really taking in the artwork of these amazing quilts.
Yeah, and there have been, if people are interested, they definitely need to go to the MQG website and all the Instagram wrap up. I'm sure there's other YouTubers that have done wrap up videos, because especially that Best in Show, that paper pieced quilt from Pride and Joy, stunning. And it has two sides. It wasn't just paper pieced on the front. There's a paper pieced back view as well. So, oh my gosh, stunning work. Which category of quilts did you find most inspiring? Because, Modern Quilt Guild does negative space. They had a transparency challenge this year. They do improv. They do applique.
Traditionalism, like a new take on traditionalism.
So what did you think? Do you have a favorite category?
The one that I think I liked the most in was that transparency one, but also the traditional modernism. I like how they can take these quilts, took like a different spin on traditional blocks or traditional motifs, and really made something a little bit different. And what I really liked about the show this year is that there weren't so many just straight line quilted quilts. There were so many with beautiful quilted texture. It was really, really excited to see that they stepped away from almost every quilt a few years ago was like straight line quilted. So it was really nice to see that step away, and a lot of hand quilting. Did you notice a lot of hand quilting?
Yeah. Well, they have a whole handwork category too, so that's inspiring. I really love the negative space category, and it always, I don't know, I guess I have more of the purist idea that negative space means you're going to have like one very few graphic elements and then a lot of background. And there are some that to me look like a regular quote quilt and not necessarily negative space. So pushing the definitions between categories sometimes is interesting. It just makes you step back and think about why, what assumptions am I working on? What is my bias and my definition? And how are these quilts either matching or not matching that presumptive definition? So,
I love that reflection.
Yeah, it just is. I mean, that's what a lot of these quilts are supposed to do, is make you think. And I think a lot of the modern quilters and the quilters that enter this show, they do want to make a statement. So there's one thing I've been thinking about over these few days. What do you think of the strong language in that one quilt, the fentanyl quilt?
Yes. I love it. I am someone who does have a bit of a sailor mouth when I am not in a professional capacity or in front of my children. And I personally find it liberating to see it put into an art form.
Yeah. It is. And I'm a little bit older than Tori. We've said that before. And so I think I have a little more of the prudish generation, I guess. Well, and it was also drilled into me from my parents that we do not use cuss words, just period, dot. My mom, was always the kind of the saying that it shows a lack of imagination that you have to resort to such, crude words. So she was always wanting us to improve our vocabulary. Winston Churchill is the classic historical figure that could insult you and you would smile about it because he used such interesting language and word choice to put you down.
I think there's a time and a place though for
language. And I definitely, it's not that it offends me, especially the F-bomb is so in your face that it definitely makes an impact. And so it's really interesting to see particular one. And if you stand back and you just listen to people as they come up, you definitely see there are some people that are like, oh no, that's the quilt with bad words, or some people that are like, yes, they're finally making a statement and we can finally, say what we feel. But there is still that kind of assumption that quilters are these puritanical little old ladies that would never utter such a word. And I really think it's refreshing, like you said, that it's coming out in the open. And especially for a quilt like that had such a strong message about one of the crises in our country, that it definitely makes people stop and think. And like you said, putting it into the art form, but definitely an interesting topic.
Now, this one that was also really strong, I think, was the grief quilt, where it was part black and white, part colored. And that one was a very powerful message without using that kind of language. And I don't know, I haven't seen a lot of posts on it, a lot of people talking about it, so I did want to bring attention to that one because that one struck me hard.
Yeah.
Like seeing, because she's paper, it's a woman paper, I think she's paper based. And that's the kind of style it looks. And half of her is black and white, half of hers is colored. Like it's like almost like a rainbow, like rainbow colors, but not a rainbow. That really bright, like love, like
cheerful.
That's a good word. And she looks in agony. And her hands are on her face. And it's such a powerful quilt. And I feel like we don't see that kind of expression in other places, in the quilting world in particular. And I think that show does a really good job of bringing those strong emotions in, including the quilt with the F-bomb and this grief quilt. And there's a few others that had a really strong message too, that I think this is a great place for it.
Yeah. And, I guess it brings us to the point where art, quilts, we all bring our own experiences to it. And sometimes we may be more open to that message, because there's been years past where I'm just like, I put my blinders on and I'm like, I don't need to see those statement quilts. And, I'm just here for the pretty stuff. And then, there's other times where I'm like, yeah, I really, that's really making me think, and I'm really wanting to wrestle with some of those big ideas. So hopefully people will keep an open mind. And that is one of the core values of Modern Quilt Guild is inclusivity and embracing the diversity of all the different groups of people that are part of this world, and there's nobody marginalized. We make room for everyone. I just thought that was a really strong message. I do want to share a little bit about our Audacious event that we did the day before QuiltCon. Yeah. So run us through that day.
So Audacious, we didn't end up getting the minimum we needed to fully do a full day retreat. So what we did was a scaled down version where we had a nice lunch, or we just it was a friendly lunch, so nothing really business talk happened there. And then we walked over across the street to the library, so the public library, where we were able to rent a pretty nice room with some great lighting, actually. Yeah. And we spent 2 hours working through a launch plan for our 3 attendees plus Andi. So I was kind of leading that part of it. And it was I think it had a strong impact. All of them mentioned later how good it was, that they liked how bite-sized it was. And they were really excited to see maybe next time a full day and see what we had in store. But overall, some great feedback and some really big excitement over their new offers they're ready to launch. We had a box a month who was getting ready to launch. We had 2 classes and a pattern that they're getting ready to launch. So that was really exciting to see their ideas coming forth and how we can utilize a tool like ChatGPT to make this a little bit easier on ourselves, but really make it so that it's unique and it really keeps their voice, their message, their unique pattern and class in mind.
It was such a great afternoon to be able to bounce ideas off each other, because that's where I really saw people getting inspired. We've probably all done those avatar exercises where we think of our customer and what they like, where they hang out and everything. But being able to talk to other people, we were able to take that deeper. And then at the end, when we were doing our filming, because we shared some ideas for reels and we grabbed each other's phones and filmed each other. And so we all have this great social media content, and just, walking around, I'm like, I'm going to take a picture here. Oh yeah, I want to do that too. It really was a good idea, or a good day for us to share some good ideas.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned walking around. We did headshots, right? And we had, most of our members felt a little shy in front of the camera, but we were able to get them some really cool and natural looking headshots just using smartphones. Yep. And I already seen at least 2 people have shared their headshots, and I've made them their social media profile picture. Yes, that was really cool to see.
So just another plug to the audience to join in our Patreon community, because this is where we share ideas like that. And we definitely want to know when we can do this again and get some more people involved. Please reach out, leave us a comment if you are interested in future retreats, whether they are virtual or in person, and we will do our best to make that happen. So
I do have one more thing to mention about QuiltCon. Well, actually 2. Yeah. I'd like to ask you about the vendors. What did you think about the vendors?
I got some great ideas for how to set up a booth, and especially with engagement, because there is the basic idea that if you have a freebie, or, if you have a box of candy sitting on the counter, or you want to have the stickers and your business cards laid out where people can grab them. People like the freebie stuff. But there were several booths that did make and takes, and that's a little more of an investment in supplies. But that gets people into your booth, because anytime there's a crowd, people are going to want to look over their shoulder and say, hey, what's going on there? But all the selfie spots, that's what I was taking away, was these places where you get that user-generated content that other people are sharing your business name, because you take a picture with this prop at this booth, and then they tag you in it, and your name gets out there to more people. So I really thought that was interesting.
That's really good. You're right.
What did you think about the vendors?
I thought that I wish there were more, to be honest.
Always.
I love vendors. I think it's so much fun to see what's going on in the quilting world and stuff. I had a great time with Carly Porter, and I got to see up close what she offers based off her designs, which I think is a really big takeaway for anybody who does InDesign or patterns or anything like that, where you can take your pattern and you can create things to sell. So she had decals for sweatshirts. She had stickers. She had temporary tattoos. She had not only her books, but a coloring book. Mm-hmm. She had like her pants were fabric printed that were her quilting designs. And that she made pants out of them. Mm-hmm. Like she had taken her unique graffiti quilting and created the entire line of other products with it. And I think we've talked about that before in our podcast, but that is something to really take in mind with what else can you do with a design. Yeah. And really take the time to look at that and then bring it to places like QuiltCon, your local quilt show. And it really helps get your name out there. It helps you generate some more income. And it helps like people understand or know more about quilting because they ask about it. And like here, you mentioned all the quilting clothes. Uh-huh. Like there are so many quilted bags, quilted shirts, a few quilted dresses, some quilted skirts, some recycled stuff.
And I'm sitting here with Tori, and she's got these cool jeans that she did like reverse applique cutouts, and it's fun. And Dara, who you'll get to hear from in the rapid fire episode, she has a whole skirt that's yo-yos. So fun seeing all the quilted clothing.
And there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. So I, as a business owner, I also offered one-on-ones.
Oh yeah, your strategy sessions.
Yes, strategy sessions. So I offered those this year. I had 2 people take me up on it, but it helped afford the trip.
Yes.
And they both said, why don't people know more about you? So I wanted to throw that out to our audience. You can schedule those meetups where you can do one-on-one consultations. You could do one-on-one meetings with other people you might want to cooperate with. And it could be social or it could be more business oriented where you charge like I did. But that is an option where you go somewhere to monetize your time. So don't only just go for the fun, also have fun. Of course, totally going to have fun. I had a blast. But I also was able to help afford my trip by offering that one-on-one time. Yeah. And I didn't plan on a spot. So I was like, we're going to meet somewhere in the convention center. We'll figure it out when we get there. And they were perfectly fine with that. And so I looked around, there were tables out in the registration area. So that's where we met. It was a quiet spot where we could talk and go over what they wanted to go over. And so I wanted to visit that so that our business-minded friends could kind of think ahead for maybe some other events coming up and really get that on the calendar.
Yeah. I also want to share that conventions like this, well, anytime that you can get in person, it might be that you're traveling to a guild to give a workshop, but there are quilt stores in the area. You might want to schedule a time with the shop owner. You may be able to take someone to lunch or dinner, grab a coffee, and just discuss those ideas. You know, you never want to impose on someone to pick their brains for free, but it's such a learning opportunity when you can meet up with some of your quilting friends and just ask them, you know, what's been working in their business. So that's been a wonderful thing to do.
I'm glad you said that. So one thing I did was I met one of our retreat members. I saw her in line. And I had some friends of friends that were sitting with us because here they're the tables, right? The tables are hot commodity on during lunchtime. So we were basically giving up our table to somebody walking up. So I knew that she was going to need a seat really soon. And I also knew she was alone at the show. So I walked over and said, hey, we're leaving in a minute. There's 3 other people still eating over there. They're super nice and they want to sit with you. So introduce yourself in those situations. Just sit at a table with other quilters and just start asking them about the show, asking them about them, and you can find some connections, you can make some friends, and it's a great opportunity to not only have fun, but also not sit by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I love that idea of being a connector because we've heard that that game, The 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, that, hey, oh, you know Tori, I know Tori too. How do you know this person? And you just keep introducing them and making them that chain. And that's why the quilting community is so great, is because we all are connected and we love this beautiful craft, and it's just been a lot of fun.
And I think it sounds really funny just on the podcast or sitting in front of your computer, because it does to me. Like sitting in front of my computer, because that's where I work all day long. And then being at a show, it's a different energy. People are looking around, smiling at each other. They have these packed tables where there's one chair open. You're like, hey, do you mind if I sit here? They're all going to be like, yes, of course you can, because we're all exhausted. We all know your feet hurt, and we want you to have a comfortable seat where you can sit and rest as well, because that's what we needed.
Yep.
So I know it sounds weird. It may sound weird to you if you're antisocial or if you're an introvert like me and Andi, but it is easier when you're here in person to be like, hey, can I sit here? And everybody's always happy to say yes. I've never heard anyone say no.
That's very true. That's very true. And you know what? Even when you sit down, you can take just a few minutes to say hello, and then you could just go into your shell and just be the one person at the table, because sometimes I need that. I need to just be by myself. I don't need to be chatting with my neighbors and asking them where they're from. So there's a time and place, and I think everybody understands those different energy levels. But it's been a wonderful occasion at QuiltCon, and we hope to see you at the next con. Until then, have fun and do a little quilting on the side. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.